Hi, I'm Chris Lewis, firefighter for the Lakeville Fire Department, and welcome to another edition of On Call. The goal of this program is to educate and inform the citizens of Lakeville about how Lakeville's all-volunteer fire department trains and responds to emergencies. Let's take a look at what's coming up on this edition of On Call. We find out what a new recruit can expect when they get hired on Lakeville Fire Department. In Chief's Corner, Fire Chief Mike Meyer will go over some communication tools here at LFD. We answer another question in Ask the Firefighter. I'll have some of the latest happenings around the fire department, and Scratch will take us on another adventure. The Lakeville Fire Department is a paid on-call, all-volunteer fire department, and people often ask, what does it take to be on the department? We are frequently hiring new recruits to fill openings that have been created for a variety of reasons, but many people aren't exactly sure what goes into being a new hire. LFD is going to start hiring a group of recruits annually to begin training, and so we thought for this episode that we would look into that hiring process, take a brief look at training, and ask a newer recruit and a seasoned veteran about their experience on the fire department. To begin, let's review the hiring process. First, you must live within 2 miles of a Lakeville fire station. You must fill out an application and pass a written test. Pass a department agility test, then interview with a panel, submit to a criminal background check, and pass a firefighter-specific medical examination. Once an applicant has passed all of these, and they receive an offer from the Lakeville Fire Department, they begin their 2-year probationary period, in which they'll have their busiest training schedule of their career. Probationary firefighters will have to complete their Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2 courses, as well as first responder certification and hazardous materials training. Finally, they have fire apparatus operations, where they'll learn how to drive and operate the engines. It's within this period that a bond is built with your fellow firefighters as you learn to work as a team and trust each other in what can be very dangerous situations. But once these initial training courses are completed, the probationary firefighter will be given more responsibilities on the truck as they respond with their station's crew to calls. And their training will continue throughout their career as we have continuous routine trainings to maintain our skills and develop new ones. Today we're going to get the perspective of firefighting from 2 different firefighters, one a seasoned veteran and one who's just about to finish his probationary period. Mark, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, no problem.
Well, first of all, why don't you tell me just a quick little bit about yourself?
Well, I'm a plumber.
Okay.
And got 2 kids, married, been living in Lakeville for 10 years now. Like fishing a lot.
Okay, great. So why did you decide to join the fire department?
Well, I know some other guys that are in fire departments, and my wife's uncle was on a fire department, and so was her grandfather in St. Paul for years. So, and I've always wanted to be a firefighter, and my chance finally came around, and I applied for it, and I was lucky enough to get in and join Lakeville Fire.
Okay, great. So you're just coming off your probationary period now.
Mm-hmm.
Was your training more than you thought it was going to be, or less than you thought it was going to be?
It's probably a little less than I thought it would need to be, to become a firefighter because of all the stuff that's involved with fighting fires and saving lives and stuff like that. I thought it was going to be a lot more intense than what it was. It was a lot easier than what I had expected in the first place.
Okay, great. What about like the time commitment, anything like that? Was that better or worse than you were expecting, or?
Right off the bat, it was pretty tight going through Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2,
okay.
And working full time, and making calls because, if your pager goes off at 3 in the morning, you got to go.
Yep.
So it's, for the first little while, it was pretty tight, but once you get through most of the training, then it starts to, relax, where you're just doing a couple trainings a month and then making calls. It becomes a lot easier.
And that's where you're at now, right? Where
correct.
You finished your Firefighter 1 and 2. And,
yep.
And do you have anything left after
and stuff like that? No, right now we're just going through hazmat training, and once that's done, it'll be just a couple Monday nights a month training.
Oh, okay, great. So what were some highlights for you for your training period?
Oh, probably learning to drive the trucks. That's probably my favorite thing. Driving the trucks with license irons on, it's a lot of fun. Some of the trailers that Hennepin County Technical College brought in were pretty fun to crawl through with all your gear on, and they fill them full of smoke so you can't see anything.
Can you tell me, how has your family responded to the first 2 years of your training?
It's been going really well. My wife kind of knew what to look for, you know, because she used to sit and listen to the scanner with her grandmother, so she knew what was going on with the fire and knew that I'd have to get up and leave, you know, wanting to get up and leave, and that's just the way it goes. But she's been dealing with it very well, and she's been very supportive throughout the whole process. So without her being my support, I probably wouldn't be able to do this.
Okay, perfect. Well, thanks for joining us today. Thanks for giving us a little bit of insight.
Sure. Yeah,
in your first 2 years. Thanks for joining the fire department.
Cool.
And we'll move on, and we're going to talk to a veteran after this. Joining us now is Corey Herman out of Station 1. Corey, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
Corey's been a firefighter for over 20 years, but not necessarily all with Lakeville Fire. Why don't you tell us a little bit about your fire career?
Well, I started 20 years ago. I was 28 when I came on. That was Minneapolis.
Okay.
I moved down to Lakeville about 10 years ago and decided that maybe some of what I could do, or some of what I do, could help out the Lakeville Fire Department.
Okay, so you do full-time,
Yep.
in addition to volunteering in Lakeville?
Yep.
Okay, so what would you say are a few differences between a full-time career and a volunteer job?
Minneapolis, well, a little bigger. We're a little busier. We do quite a few more medical runs than we do down here in Lakeville. We also get a few more fires. So overall, we're just a bigger city. We do quite a bit more, bigger population, so we do more runs, and it's pretty much the same, just a different level.
Okay, so why would you, if you do it full-time, also do a volunteer job?
Well, like I said before, I moved down here about 10 years ago. I do like helping people. There's always the satisfaction of being able to help somebody.
Okay.
You get done with a run, and you know everybody goes back to the station, and you still kind of mess around a little bit, but you get that gratitude, if you want to say that, about being able to actually help somebody, and I just kind of drives me.
All right, Corey, so with your experience, all these years in firefighting, what advice would you give to somebody just coming off of probation?
Just coming off, I'd say you want to slow down and absorb what's going on around you. Take your time. Make sure you know what you're going to do is going to be safe. Don't jump in and grab a nozzle and run into a fire without paying attention to what's going on around you.
What about somebody who is thinking about applying? You know, is there any kind of things that they might be able to expect or that they can look forward to with a longer career?
Other than being very rewarding career, the guys are always, most of them are great to work with. I should say just about all of them are great to work with. It becomes a family. Be prepared to put in a lot of time. You're away from the family quite a bit. There's still training. You have to do quite a bit of training. And there's some runs come at the absolute wrong times.
Okay.
But if you want to keep up your percentages, there's just, you tend to do it, and hopefully the family will work with you.
All right, great. Well, Corey, thanks for joining us today and giving us a little bit of insight into a veteran's career on the fire department.
Again, my pleasure. Appreciate you having me on.
Thank you.
Could one of these people start a deadly fire? Careless smoking is the #1 cause of fire fatalities. However, most fires are preventable. So, will one of these people start a deadly fire? It's up to them. You can protect your family and your home from fire. Visit GetYourButtOutside.com. Brought to you by the Minnesota State Fire Chiefs Association and the Minnesota Fair Plan.
Hi, I'm Doc Bowlman, engineer out of Station 1, and today's Ask the Firefighter question comes from Ethan. And Ethan's question is, how long does it take to extricate a person from a car? Thanks for your question, Ethan. Vehicle extrication is the process of removing a vehicle from around a person who has been involved in a motor vehicle accident when conventional means of exit are impossible. This is typically done by using hydraulic tools that have been labeled as the jaws of life. While the time to extricate someone can vary greatly, once firefighters are on the scene, a common time frame is anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes to remove the victim. This may be as simple as prying open a door, to removal of the roof or other parts to allow first responders to be able to get someone out. In extreme cases, it may take quite a bit longer if firefighters are having difficulty from the severity of the accident. Firefighters train during the year on vehicle extrication, and each fire station has a truck with all the necessary equipment to remove someone from a vehicle. If you're interested in how we train for these types of emergencies, you can watch previous episodes of On Call where we've highlighted our extrication training, and also every year at our fire open house we do a demonstration for all who are interested. Thanks, Ethan, for your question. If you have a question for Ask the Firefighter, send it to us using the information on the screen.
Welcome to another edition of Chief's Corner. I'm Fire Chief Mike Meyer, and today we're going to talk about how we notify our firefighters as far as if there's a call for service. And looking back at our history as a fire department, we first started with a bell that was on top of the original fire station. So when there was a call, somebody would ring the bell, and that's how the firefighters knew to respond to the station and then take the equipment out for whatever that call might have been. As we progressed through our history as far as a fire department, with electricity came a siren system that alerted the firefighters. So again, when there was a call, the siren was tripped, sounded so that the firefighters knew to come down to the station and again go out for calls. And the original fire bell that was at the first station at downtown Lakeville is now at Station 1 and is still serviceable. We do ring it every once in a while, but it's there if you want to see it. You can certainly stop by and see it up in the bell tower that was built for that purpose. As we continue to grow with technologies and stuff, we moved to a pager that was controlled by our dispatch center. So the firefighters wear a pager 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, normally when they're moving around. Dispatch would get a call, they would trip their pagers, which the firefighters would then report to their stations that they're assigned to go on that call. As we continue through with technology, things are changing, more accessible with smartphones and all of that, but we still have to maintain our pagers for the notification due to the direct control and the response for that. And joining me today on Chief's Corner is Captain Jeff Anderson from Station 3. Thanks, Jeff, for being here.
Thank you.
And here's what a pager looks like that the firefighters currently carry. And this is a Minuter 5 by Motorola that we've been through, obviously 5 versions of this, but some of the new technologies that we've looked at and what Jeff's here for is to talk about is the Active 911 program that we've discovered and we've been using very well with the firefighters. So what can you tell us about that program, Jeff?
Well, as Chief Meyer and the staff looked at enhancing our ways of responding to calls in addition to the pager system that we've used for years and that is still our primary notification system, it was explored and came up with what is called the Active 911 application, and what it is just kind of a enhancement to our alerting system so that those of us with cell phones now are able to join on to this system, and that will also alert us in addition to the pager system as far as when our particular station has a call. And some of the features of that Active 911 is that, first of all, it will give us the ability to take a look and see who's responding to the call. So we all get notified of the call with our pager, also get the notification from this application, and it'll show us a couple different things. The first thing, like I said, was that it gives us the ability to know a little quicker who's actually going to be responding to the call. So when the pager goes off, we'll also get the notification. It will show a map of the address of where we're going to be going to, and that comes up automatically, but also show where each one of us is located that are on the system. And so we're able to look at that without having to actually find it on a map. It comes up for us, and we can get a quick glance of where the call is at. Especially helpful in neighborhoods where there's multiple turns and multiple streets, and it gives us a real quick reference so that we know a little bit quicker how we're going to get to that call from the station. So before we respond to the station on a vehicle, we're also able to indicate our status. So we can indicate on the screen if we're going to be responding to the call by just tapping the respond button, or the other application for us at that time would be to say that we're unavailable. And so when that actually takes place and each one of us does that, then back to the map, it will actually show an icon that will give a description of each one of us that are responding. It will show where we are, and if we say that we are responding, then it will show us on the map so everybody else can look at that and know that they're responding, and that we have a little bit better idea of who is going to be responding to this call. And that way, when we get to the station and we know that we have 4 of us responding, then we're able to just know that that's how many that we have right away. We can fill the truck, and the first truck can be on the road in response to the emergency. The other thing that it does is it does give a narrative. So in addition to what the dispatcher tells us on the pager, it also gives a narrative at the bottom of that same information. So we might get a little bit more of an update with reference to that. So in addition to seeing that information and having the map, and then the main thing, of course, is being able to know a little bit quicker who's responding, it just gives us the ability to provide a safer and quicker service when the call comes out.
Excellent. Jeff, what would happen, say that you look and you see that you've only got 1 person or 2 people responding to the station for a call? What, as a department, we need to make sure that we get vehicles on the road to help whatever that incident is. So in that case, what are we going to do?
Well, in that case, and it's the nature of a paid on-call department. There's different types of calls and requesting certain types of service on any particular day of the week or time of the day, and that may dictate how many people are responding to the call. So in that case, if we end up knowing ahead of time that we're going to be minimal on a crew, and due to the nature of the call, we want more people to respond, then we always have the option of asking for a second station. And the advantage to this, and knowing this a little bit quicker now, is that the call can be made on the radio to dispatch to go ahead and start a second station. So have the 911 dispatcher send the page out for another station to come, and then we're able to know ahead of time that we've got more people coming. And then that way we're able to have coverage, manpower for any particular call.
So we can get vehicles on the road a little bit faster.
Yes.
With this, because it's giving you a head count, or me even a head count.
Right.
We
It just
know
gives us a heads up on terms of who is responding, and if we think we need more than who is responding in terms of numbers, then we're able to go ahead and start the system to get us another station and get more personnel on the road quicker.
Excellent. It's interesting when you look around. I mean, it's truly an app that we put on a phone, whether you have an iPhone, an Apple product, or even a Droid phone. And we do have a couple of people that are using a dumb phone, is how they term it.
Yes.
So they're receiving a text and seeing that they're getting that call information. They're still able to say they're going to respond, or they're not available due to work, or whatever their commitment is.
Correct.
So we're still catching those people that are without that smartphone device.
So they may not have everything that we talked about, but they're still able to join in the system. And like I say, the main component to this whole thing now is that we're able to tell each other early on if we're responding or if we're not. So that just gives us a heads up on who's around. So everybody can participate in that without really having any specific type of a smartphone, but any phone app will allow us to at least have that part of it. And it just enhances our ways of serving the community. So.
Well, then, the next step is that obviously majority of the people, or majority of the firefighters, have cell phones of some sort. Our next step in technology is, I'm holding an iPad here. We have 5 staff vehicles that have computers in them. So our goal for 2013, and one of our items, is that we're going to add a computer to each of our frontline vehicles to put this program in. So it's going to give you that mapping feature, is I think the key point.
Yeah, so when we talked about the mapping feature, to have that available to us right away before I jump in my vehicle from home to respond to the station, I got a quick glance of where the address is. And then, like you were saying, Mike, when we get to the station, we get in the trucks, I can refer to that again, either on my phone as the officer in the right front seat, and kind of enhance the final directions for the driver. The driver will know where he's going, but we can sort of just kind of double check on that as we're en route. And then, as you say, when we start putting this application into our frontline vehicles, being the engine or the rescue truck or the ladder, then we're actually able to do the same thing on a little bit bigger screen en route to the call.
And the other safety feature, as far as once we have a computer in there, is that they'll see that same display, as far as they'll see the engine 3 is responding to whatever that call is, and if there's multiple vehicles, you'll see where everybody, as far as their travel routes coming into the scene. So for a safety standpoint, we can avoid some potential danger situations when two trucks are entering that same
Correct.
intersection.
Yeah, that's true. And we do have some intersections where we know that another station is responding from one direction, we're responding from another, and a lot of times we get to that intersection at about the same time. Right now, we do kind of a heads-up call on the radio to that other station and their truck that we're approaching that intersection, just so that they know ahead of time that they might see us there, because we're both going to the call through the same intersection. And this would just enhance that also by they would actually visually seeing that, in addition to just having the awareness and making the call on the radio.
All right. Well, thanks for all that information. I mean, it's interesting when you start looking around at the technologies and what we can use to better enhance our service to the community, and I appreciate you being here for this.
Yes, thank you.
Now let's take a look at some recent activity around the fire department. LFD has co-owned a training facility along with fire departments from Burnsville, Apple Valley, and Eagan called ABLE since the 1980s. This past fall, the entire facility was torn down to make way for a new training structure. Over the past few months, crews have made good progress on the construction. The project is expected to be completed in the spring, with firefighters being able to use it shortly after. Look for a more in-depth look at our new training facility on our future edition of On Call. Winter can be a challenging time of year for firefighters. Luckily, most calls we respond to are not actually fires, but for other calls of service. But LFD did respond to a vehicle fire on a cold January evening on County Road 70 in southern Lakeville. By the time firefighters from Station 1 arrived, the pickup truck was fully engulfed, and they worked quickly to control the fire. As you can probably tell, the vehicle was a total loss, but the good news is that nobody was injured in the incident. The fire was a little more challenging because of the magnesium that is located on the steering column, which becomes extremely hot and more challenging to extinguish. LFD also responded to another vehicle fire in February on the eastern part of town near the intersection of Pilot Knob Road and 173rd Street. This car was involved in an accident and then somehow caught on fire. Firefighters from Station 2 responded and quickly put out the fire. Chief Mike Meyer presented the LFD annual report to the Lakeville City Council in early March at their regularly scheduled meeting. Highlights included statistics, fire inspections, prevention initiatives, community involvement, and a variety of other information about what's happened at LFD in 2012. If you are interested in viewing the entire report, visit the city's website and watch the March 4th City Council meeting. And that is some of the latest activity around the fire department.
Whistle while I work. Whistle while I work. Oh, that's a rat. The dog's a can't whistle. Hey, everyone! It is I, Scratch the Fire Dog, because I like to scratch you out of the fires. Oh, and I'm so excited because today's the day that Dan, the fire extinguisher guy, is coming to the fire station to refill all of our empty extinguishers. And Scratch is going to find out all about the different sizes, what they put inside. Oh, and I'm so excited. Oh, and I think he's here. Let's go this way. Come on this way. Hey, Dan! Hey, Dan! Oh, hey, here he is, Dan the extinguisher guy. How are you doing today, Dan?
I'm good. How are you, Scratch?
Oh, hey, I'm very excited that you're here today because I have so many questions regarding fire extinguishers, and I understand you are the guy to talk to.
Well, I think I can help you out with that.
Yeah, how many years have you been working on extinguishers?
About 25 years now.
Oh, 25 years? I don't even have a corn that old. Hey, why don't you tell me a little bit of why we have the extinguishers here, Dan?
Well, the reason you have fire extinguishers is to put out fires.
Very good. Straight, simple, and to the point.
But it's a little bit more complicated than that.
Yeah, now, isn't there like several different types of extinguishers? Maybe you could tell us a little bit about the difference in sizes and maybe their uses.
There are a lot of different sizes and shapes and types of different fire extinguishers. Some extinguishers are simple ones like this, and they can be used in businesses and in homes. And Basically, everybody should have one fire extinguisher like this, a 5-pound ABC, which
Yeah, what does ABC stand for?
basically that tells you the types of fires it can be used on.
Well, like now, what kind of type could this be used for?
A is the ordinary combustibles,
Okay.
and B is the flammable and combustible liquids, and then C is the electrical. And those are the most common types.
Very good, very good. Now, why do you have different sizes?
It really depends on the type of occupancy or building that you're in.
Yeah.
Like I said, for your house, a 5-pound ABC on each level is adequate.
Yeah.
But in the garage, you would want a 10-pound ABC.
Oh, cool.
In businesses, normally you'll find 10-pound and 20-pound ABCs.
Yeah.
The confusing thing is, when we say 5-pound ABCs,
Yeah.
people lift this and they feel like, wow, that's a lot more than 5 pounds. But the reason for that is because it's 5 pounds of chemical inside the container, and then we have to add in the weight of the container.
Yeah, now what exactly is inside there? Because they're very heavy. Do you have like rocks and things and different things like that?
No, it's actually dry chemical.
Oh, baby food.
Looks just like this. We keep it in this jar just so you can see it.
Oh, so it's not baby food
It's
in there?
not baby food. You can try some though if you want.
No, I think I'll pass.
It's called monoammonium phosphate, but we
Okay.
just call it ABC dry chemical because monoammonium phosphate is too hard to say.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna try. So you have that inside and that's it?
That's it to start, and then once we put it back together, we pressurize it with nitrogen. And that's what we use to pressurize it so we can get all the chemical out of the container when there's a fire. If we put this in there and don't pressurize it, you have no way of getting the chemical out of the container.
Ah, very good. Now, how often do you replace the chemical inside these extinguishers, and do you check them yearly?
Yes, they get checked every year. Actually, they get checked every month in most facilities by the owner or the occupant of the building.
Sure.
Your fire extinguishers at home should be checked every month. So get the family in the habit of going around and checking every fire extinguisher. That does two things for you. It helps you remember where they are, so when the fire happens, you're ready.
Good.
But it also makes sure that there is adequate pressure and everything's okay with that extinguisher. But in businesses, we go in once a year and we do the annual maintenance. We check the extinguisher, make sure everything's good on it. We check the pressure, we weigh the extinguisher. We check the date of when it was manufactured.
Good.
So we can see when it has to be internally inspected or hydro tested. So there's a lot that goes into it.
Very good. Now, is there anything we missed before you're going to show me how you refill one of these things?
That's about it. One thing I want to mention, not all extinguishers have ABC dry chemical. Some have water, some have foam, some have different powders that are good for metal type fires. Some have carbon dioxide. So there's a lot of different types of extinguishers. But today we're just going to talk about the ABC dry chemical.
Good. Oh, you know what? I forgot to ask you one question. If somebody who lives at a home wants to get one of these extinguishers, you know, for their kitchen, garage, where is the best place to go?
What I would recommend is go to a fire extinguisher company. They sell fire extinguishers at a lot of different places.
Yeah.
But the best place to go is normally a fire extinguisher company, just because you get a better, higher quality extinguisher. You do pay a little bit more, but you know that those are the experts and they can give you what you need.
And that's the whole idea, to keep your family safe.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right, Scratch. You want it to work when you need it. The problem with fire extinguishers is they hang on the wall for 5, 10, 15 years. You never use it, and all of a sudden there's a fire, and if it doesn't work on that day, you're out of luck. So you need to make sure you buy a good one and maintain it properly.
Well, let's see how we fill it up then. Can we head inside your truck there and see how it is done?
Sure, let's go, Scratch.
Here we go. Well, we've now moved into Dan's truck where he's got all of his equipment to refill these extinguishers. Dan, show us how the process works. I'm so excited.
Okay, Scratch. Well, this one's pretty much ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, and we should let everyone know that we have safety glasses because we're safe.
Yes, we have the safety glasses on.
Even
We
Scratch does.
We
Yeah.
always want to wear those when we're working on these.
Absolutely.
Now, I've already cleaned the parts inside here, but this
Oh,
is
cool. So that's how it gets it off at the bottom. I never knew what was inside it like that.
This is what they call the pickup tube. It picks up the chemical from the bottom of the extinguisher. That's why when someone's using an extinguisher, they always want to hold it upright. You don't want to hold it sideways.
Oh, cool.
So I'll set this down for right now.
Okay.
I have our chemical stored. The ABC dry chemical is stored in the hopper. So what
Okay.
I'm going to do is take this hose
Yeah.
that comes off the bottom of the hopper, and I'm going to put it in here. And I'm going to open the valve, and then we wait a little while the pressure gauge goes up here, and that's telling me that it's starting to fill.
So the chemical is actually going into the extinguisher now.
That's right, Scratch. It's coming from this yellow hopper here.
Yeah.
The one with the yellow lid, and it's going into the extinguisher. And I just watch up here, so I know when it's full.
Oh, cool.
There we go. Now it's full. Then I take that off real slow because otherwise we get dust all over.
Very
now,
good.
I'm going to take that out of my vise and set it over here on the scale.
Ooh, you got the scale.
And I put these parts on the scale too, just to make sure we're at the proper amount.
Okay.
Yep, it's ready to go. So now I'm just going to clean the threads like this.
You use a toothbrush?
I use a toothbrush.
Or a thread brush?
I use a toothbrush. And then I have to grab one of these.
An O-ring?
This is actually called a VOS collar.
Oh, I don't like wearing collars.
That means verification of service. And I'm going to punch 12 of 2011 because it's December of 2011. And I put that on. That tells the fire marshal or fire inspector that this has been taken apart and worked on at that time.
Oh, cool. Now, is that difficult to put that back in there? Obviously not. It just kind of slid right in.
Not really. And then the threads, I just tighten this up until it's snug. And then before I pressurize it, I like to tip it upside down just to loosen up that chemical. That way the nitrogen pressure goes in a little bit easier.
Now, how heavy is this one again? Is this the 5 or 10 pounder?
This is a 10-pound extinguisher, but it weighs about 17 pounds overall when it's full.
Okay.
So now I'm putting my adapter on here. And then I'm going to hook up our nitrogen hose.
Good.
To the adapter. And then I'm going to turn this black valve, and then I'm going to squeeze down on this handle.
Oh!
Did I scare you?
Kind of jumped.
That happens a little bit once in a while. That's why I like to tip it upside down to get some of that chemical loose, because then it's not quite as bad. But it does jump a little bit. That's just cleaning and pushing all that chemical out the pickup tube, and then it spreads out the nitrogen throughout the extinguisher.
Good. Now, you've been doing this, you said, for 20 plus years, but how do you know that you filled it? Is there a little gauge at the top that says full?
We've got this pressure gauge right here. That needle, the yellow needle, always needs to be up in that green operating range. If it's down here in the red, that means it needs to be recharged. If it's up on this side in the red, that means it's overcharged. So it's got to be somewhere in that green area.
Perfect. Now, is this extinguisher all ready to use now, Dan?
It's almost ready. I just need to take that hose off, take the adapter off. Now I put the discharge hose back in place. And I tighten that up.
Don't hit yourself with that. Have you ever hit yourself with that?
Yes, many times. That's why I wear the safety
glasses. That's why we wear the glasses. Yeah. That's right.
Now I'm going to put the tamper seal through the safety pin.
Okay.
And that just keeps the pin in place. Make sure that the pin doesn't accidentally fall out. And anybody that's walking by, they can see that that tamper seal is there and it hasn't been used at all. And then there's one last thing we do for businesses.
Yeah?
And again, this helps the fire marshal know when it was inspected.
Not another color, is it?
Nope, this one's called the service tag. And I'm punching ABC dry chemical. I'm punching December, and it's recharged.
Hey, and we now have a working and approved fire extinguisher.
There we go. We're legal.
Oh, that was some great information I got from Dan, the extinguisher guy, but I don't think my towels are dry, and oh boy, if the chief finds out that I didn't get my work done, he is going to be so unhappy with this dog, so I better turn things on and, well, I'm a little wet, so hey, I might as well go for a ride too. So we'll see you next time, everyone, because it is Scratch the Fire Dog, because I like to scratch you out of the fires. See you on the backside. See you next time. Goodbye, everybody. Oh! Hey, I'm all ready for my ride. Whoa! 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 Ouch! Oh! Whoa!
Thanks for joining us for another edition of On Call. If you have questions, comments, an idea for the program, or want to send a question in for Ask the Firefighter, feel free to call us at 952-985-4700, or use the email address on your screen and send us an email. Thanks for joining us, and all fire units are clear.